Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Toastmasters. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. My name is Jean Williams. I'm your Program Quality Director for District 115, which is Southern Nevada. This is my co-host, Jean Dunford. Hi, Jean. He's mute today. And we have a very special guest, Eugene Zolnay. How are you, Gene?
Fine. How are you doing?
I'm fine. With all the Jeans in the district, which is unusual because it's not a common name, we actually call Mr. Zolnay Z. So hello, Z. It's good to have you. And you are a first-time guest. So every first-time guest gets asked, tell us about your first Toastmaster experience.
Lafayette, California in 1990. I joined a Toastmaster club there. It was actually one of the top clubs at the time in Toastmasters. It was Single Toastmasters of Lafayette. And it was, they met in a chapel in a church, and they were actually an outgrowth of the singles program there at Lafayette Orinda Presbyterian Church. And so we had a wonderful place in which to meet. It was, basically a chapel. It was not the main church sanctuary, but it had the same sort of things. And we actually had a pulpit to give our speeches from, so it was kind of fun. Anyway, I got involved with them through that singles group, but there was a very active Toastmaster. I think he's still active in Toastmasters. His name was Jim Doyle. And he was very, I guess, I wouldn't say influential, but he was very active in Toastmasters at that time. And he got me in fairly early, basically to build up the group. And it was a very good group, very creative. And I do remember the first time I did table topics, I won.
Well, do you remember what the question was? That's the question.
No, I don't. It completely escapes me now. But then again, this was 1990. It's been a while. 31 years ago. Yeah.
Well, so now though, flash forward, you are in Saturday Morning Live, which is, of course, they meet on Saturday.
Yeah. The reason I joined Saturday Morning Live is because at the time that I joined them, I was working, I'm still working at the national security site, which is 60 miles away from anything having to do with Toastmasters. So I was looking for a club that would meet at a time that I could participate. Well, Saturday morning is just fine for me. So, and that's one of the benefits, I think, of my club is that we do have this Saturday meeting time twice a month on Saturday mornings. So there are a lot of people with kind of strange schedules in Las Vegas, and they can join our club. It's a very good place.
Those first and third Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Actually, no, second and fourth.
Oh, I'm sorry, second and fourth second and fourth Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, so what makes Saturday Morning Live unique, other than the time it meets, making it more accessible? What makes the club unique?
I think there are two things that are particularly different about our club. And that is, first of all, as you might guess from the name, we call ourselves Saturday Morning Live because of Saturday Night Live, which means that we have a little bit of a focus on humor. We try to keep humor. It's not front and center in our meetings, but it is definitely always a factor in our meetings, which is going to be kind of difficult at our next meeting because our next meeting is 9/11. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can work that in. But that's one thing that we concentrate on in Saturday Morning Live. Another thing is that over the years, we've become a very diverse group of people. We have a number of people from India. We have a member who was originally from Vietnam. We've had members from Nepal, Siberia,
Wow.
It's kind of, it's a very diverse group.
Mm. Well, I think that makes it more interesting. It's fun to learn about different cultures.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, we've had at least one speech on the Buddhist viewpoint of not eating any animals or not eating flesh. And it was
Oh,
kind of interesting.
huh. I always enjoy learning about different cultures. I don't think we realize, we have our ruler we're given to us through our childhood, and we tend to measure things by that. And it's interesting to compare that to how other people measure things as well.
Yeah, every culture has its different take, but here's the thing: we're all human.
That is true. So, I have visited Saturday Morning Live, and you're right. It's got a good sense of humor. I think every club has a different personality. We gear our show is we have Toastmasters in our audience and we have non-Toastmasters in our audience. And every club, I've told all of our audience before, every club has a different personality. Visit several, but Saturday Morning Live, now I haven't been since you guys met online, but when you were in person, it has a whole different culture. There's a snack master there. That's important. That's important. Are you guys online now only, or are you hybrid yet?
We are planning to go hybrid starting next month. It's going to be kind of a limited hybrid at the beginning. Our next meeting is in fact going to be in our new location, but we're only having invited people there at the physical site. It's going to be at AutoNation Buick GMC in Henderson, in
Okay.
Valley Auto Mall. But I understand, of course, I will be there physically, but it's just going to be the speakers, the evaluators, and the official people. Everybody else is going to be still zooming in. And the idea is we're going to go hybrid, and we're going to have our meetings in September as kind of a shakedown to get into the groove of how to do hybrid well.
Mhm.
I think the real stumbling block, the difficulty that we had in going online is going to resurface, and we're going to have to realize that a lot of what we do, especially how we get guests and bring in new members, is going to be a two-pronged sort of endeavor, in that we will have to do what we used to do, have a nice setup and invite people to come, but we're also going to have to do what we learned to do in Zoom, which basically Steve Goldstein, the past district director 2 terms ago, he is currently our president, and he is also pretty much in charge of bringing in members. He's also acting as our VP of membership. He's basically carrying the whole club on his shoulders. But it's the way you bring in guests and the way you bring in members is completely different in the Zoom world than it is in the live setting. And because of that, you've got a situation where now when we're going hybrid, we have to have 2 separate methods of bringing people into our group.
Yeah.
It basically, a hybrid club is 2 clubs in one.
I had not thought about it that way, but you're right. I think I think my hesitation is sometimes hybrid comes out as you get, I just kind of equate it to standing outside of somebody's window while they're eating dinner. Like, oh, hold that closer. I want to see, is that corn? And it just feels so much like that that's separate. And I think that's the cornerstone of a successful hybrid meeting, is having it where everybody feels included wherever they're at. And I don't know that too many people have found the magic equation yet. But we're still learning too.
Well, the whole thing about in-person versus online is that's a completely different medium.
Mhm.
In person, basically public speaking is theater.
True.
And the more voluminous your gestures, the louder your voice, the more you carry across in that medium. Whereas in the online world, what we're dealing with here is video, and video is close up.
Yeah.
And so all the gestures have to be close, close to the face. I can't do, I cannot even reach out towards the camera unless I really want to impress something, because it's much more constrained, yet at the same time, oddly enough, it can also be more intimate.
That's, it's interesting that you say that. I think too many times people are trying to make Zoom or anything online into the exact same experience. I've been in training classes where 2 years ago they were in person and now they're online, and they're trying so hard to make this experience like that experience. And you can't, because it's so completely different. And I think as soon as the clubs that acknowledge that, well, we're not going to try to, be an in-person meeting online, we're just going to be an online meeting. And I think just you're right, it's different. It's nice because you're seeing people much closer than you would in person. In person, you might be done at the end of the table and I'm trying to read your expressions. And because that, you're using more body language if you want attention, maybe, kind of gesturing or leaning toward the table. Whereas online, it would just look like you're not comfortable in your chair.
And the trick with hybrid meetings is figuring out how these two media can be addressed in the same message. We go back to Marshall McLuhan and what he said about the medium as the message. Okay, in a hybrid club, you've got two media. Yeah. Therefore, you've got two messages. And somehow they have to correspond with each other.
Yeah. I've not arranged a hybrid meeting yet, but I kind of think because I will need to very soon if everything opens up. I think one of the keys, the closest I've seen, is someone who had several more cameras, just like maybe their cell phone in front of them, so that at least we're seeing their face up close. Because the hybrid meetings, the majority of them I've attended so far, and again, we're still trial and error, is that everybody on Zoom is right there where you can see them. And then the people in person are really tiny, like way over there where you can barely tell they're people. And of course, it just right away, you got two separate groups, and the people in the Zoom squares are doing their thing and the people in person are doing their thing. And it's not a meeting, it's two meetings. And you're right, it's bringing those together that is going to be challenging. So I hope you guys perfect it first and you come back and say, hey, we've got the magic equation.
Well, actually, there are a number of clubs that are already working with hybrid.
There's several, but so far I've not seen. I mean, again, I've seen them evolving, and I see us making lots of great progress. There's still that little piece that somehow we're lacking, and we need to find that magic to it to really bring those two groups together. I've seen it done in small groups very well. I attend a meeting with like 6 people where 3 might be online and 3 might be in person. And of course, then they can all sit very close to the camera. It's a conference, so that everybody's sitting the whole entire time, and it works very well. But then I think about a Toastmasters meeting where ideally you're standing up and walking up to the lectern and giving a speech or giving information and going back and sitting down. And that's that last little hurdle we need to get over, is helping everybody feel like they really are involved.
Toastmastering has been a rather convulsive experience in the COVIDian era.
It's interesting because obviously, okay, I'm not talking about the disease itself, because that we all agree is tragic. We need to get that done. But the things that we've learned from it, like having the ability to do Zoom meetings. I'm in one we're working on a club for federal employees and bringing together federal employees who work in little tiny outskirt areas where the closest Toastmaster meeting is 2 or 3 hours away from them. And they're excited that they can come to a Toastmaster meeting finally. So here's a Zoom meeting where they can come and sit at home and be part of something that they couldn't be 2 years ago. So that opens up a door. People who are taking care of either special needs children or caretakers for adults, that opens up the door for them. So there's, and of course, from all over the world, people who want to learn a new language or learn a new culture by attending a meeting in that country. So those doors have opened up wide for us. And I think we have done very well in using those, but it's still the real, I think the clubs that are doing very, very well are those that realize, okay, we're not in person. So isn't this great? We can bring in somebody, from Nepal or from all these great countries and learn from them. And so that's the challenge, I think.
Actually, there is a considerable problem with time and different time zones, which kind of puts a damper on that idea. Yeah, it'd be nice to have people from India coming into our club, but that's not going to happen because they're in a way different time zone. The furthest we've been able to get is one of our members, they moved out to Smyrna, Georgia.
Okay.
And so we've got an ex-president of our club zooming in from Smyrna. And that's about as far as we get as far as a field with Zoom. And I think that's going to be pretty much the case because of the time differential.
Hey, Z, it's good to see you. Nice to have 3 genes on the set.
Yeah, the gene pool, we've got pretty much a gene pool right here for our district.
We were fortunate with authors. We had a guy come in from Australia. For a little while, we had a lady that joined us from Ireland as well, but she didn't like getting up at 3:30 in the morning. Our friend from Australia got up the next day to have our meeting before he went to work. So it was interesting in the different time zones. You're right. Time zones make a big difference.
Yeah, it was 10 in the morning his time. Of course, the usual jokes. Well, can you look in the newspaper and tell us the lottery numbers? The usual jokes you get everybody, it was the next day gets, but you're right. Well, I think the hard part, you're right. Here we are on the West Coast, and even people on the East Coast, if it's an evening meeting, like if it's a 7 o'clock in the evening meeting, it's 10 o'clock at night their time. And then we kind of wonder, like, why do they look so tired all the time? Well, it's 10 o'clock at night their time.
Yeah, for Teresa out there in Georgia, it's not Saturday morning live anymore. It's more like Saturday afternoon live.
But I think that's, well, depending on because again, if it's 10 in the morning our time, it's still 1 o'clock, it's still lunchtime there, so it's not that bad. But the other countries, and I think for me, I'm trying to get used to the UTC. I have to always look it up online. My brain has not interpreted that yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a while for people to get used to Zoom and tell when they meet in Greenwich Mean Time.
Well, for me, even adding Pacific time to everything was a transition because everything was in person. It's kind of assumed if I send out an email that it's going to be Pacific time because it's just going out to people in Southern Nevada, period. And I sent out a flyer and all of a sudden people are asking me what time zone, and so now it's that extra step of remembering to always put Pacific time on every single thing. That was my big transition.
You were talking a little while ago about now it's people for it's able, the ability has come to us that we have people from far afield join in our meetings. And it takes me back to when I was in District 57. District 57 is coastal Northern California. There is an area there, or a division there, Division G for giant trees. Anyway, there was pretty much the redwood area in California. And in order to get to an area contest there, that might mean a drive of 4 hours. So
Yeah. Well, even when we were still part of District 33, and those were the 2 years I competed, were the 2 years one was in, I think Oxnard, and 1 year was in Bakersfield, California. So yeah, you're just, okay, you're going to be staying in a hotel and you're part of the same district. And then now here we are, we broke loose and we're just southern. Well, now we actually took on a tiny corner of Utah and a tiny corner of Arizona, but we're still very close. And I think that was that we kind of got spoiled for a little while. Well, we're just southern Nevada, and then the gates opened up and clubs are getting people from. I mean, I think when I look at our list of members of our district, and there's that extra column now. It was always assumed USA, and now there's that column that says country, and I almost started to delete it from my spreadsheet. I said, wait, we have members from other countries. I have to keep that column on my spreadsheet. But it's fun to look at all the different countries that we have, and it's exciting. We're in some ways we're in an exciting time, and we're moving forward to probably where we probably should have been many years ago, and that is embracing all the media that we do have. The online experience, the in-person experience, a combination of both, live streaming, all these terms that we never even used 2 years ago that have been out there, but we just haven't used them in Toastmasters.
Toastmasters has now become a multimedia experience.
Yeah. Which our convention, we're still in the last part of our convention, and it's online. And I think they're doing a very good job. And I'm learning more about Zoom every day. Did you know that you can put somebody in a Zoom viewing room where they can see everything, but they can't see each other. And I didn't know that. So I'm still learning about how to do that. There's so many things that are still there to learn. Well, our time is drawing close to an end. So Saturday. So is there anything special going on at Saturday Morning Live? Oh, you said they're moving hybrid. So you can experience the first hybrid meeting on 9/11.
Well, the thing about it is that in September, we're going to have a limited in-person audience. But coming in October, well, we're full hybrid then, and we'll have people on location and people on Zoom, and it's going to be a completely different experience because, as I said, it's going to be 2 meetings in one.
Yeah. Well, also the people who are wanting are eager to get back to in person. We know you're in the Henderson area, well, in Henderson, so that helps people pick a club too, because they know what part of the city they're going to be in. So this is in Henderson. And let's see, you're an hour and a half meeting.
Yes, hour and a half.
Okay, because some meetings are an hour. Let's see, I'm trying to remember from the last time I went. It's been a little while. Oh, I do have to say, you guys have recently lost a very dear member to your club.
Oh yes, John
Whalen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite a shock. So John Whalen, are there going to be any services or anything that is Saturday Morning Live doing any observations, or have you already done that?
Our meeting, let's see, that was on the 14th. We had a observation for John, and we showed a few pictures of him and a few pictures by him because he was a professional photographer.
Yeah.
And that was part of the meeting. And as it turns out, that was a meeting where I gave a speech about getting the immunizations, the vaccinations for COVID-19. And it just so happened that was what took John from us.
Yeah.
It was an interesting kind of figuring out how to dovetail that with losing a member like him. And he was definitely a characteristic part of our meeting.
Oh, absolutely. Just, I think it just shocked everybody. John, for those, if you didn't meet John, I'm sorry, because he was a great guy. But it certainly is a big loss. And so, okay, so we got switch gears. Sorry, John, but we do send I know your club is still got a big hole in it from that, but I know you are a great resilient club. So then you have your attention on your hybrid meeting. But again, just for the people who are participating, but look for that for October. Hopefully everything's getting better and you guys are back completely more hybrid for anybody who wants to come. And I think that's it. Do you want to say any last minute things before we wrap up?
Well, in 30 years of being a Toastmaster, and actually it's 31 now, I've noticed that we have gone more into the idea of being business training and leadership training as well. And one of the things is that we have to balance that with the social aspects of Toastmasters, because these two things have always been part of Toastmasters. I think they should continue to remain that way. And I think that's one thing I would like to leave our meeting here with, is that I would like to see both the social and the training aspects of Toastmasters remain salient.
I agree. I agree. Well, it's been wonderful having you. Anything from Facebook, Jean? We got 1 minute for you to tell us any great things from Facebook.
No, things from Facebook. Well, we're big on Facebook. We post.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, not Z. Jean, he monitors our Facebook feed for our show.
I watch the little show live on Facebook and watch for comments. We have Nadia on, not Nadia, Jennifer
Nadia?
on. Jennifer is watching the show this morning, and I think everybody else is still in bed. I think they're going to watch it when it comes up when they wake up.
Yeah, it plays throughout the day. We'll make sure you get a link so you know where the show's at. But we want to thank everybody thank you very much, C, for coming on our show, and thank you to our Facebook group. If you see us on Facebook, I'm sorry, what?
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, well, I'm glad you came. See, I thought you'd already come once. I guess I need to go back through my list of people who've come and make sure I am not missing anybody else. So I'm sorry I missed you all this time. But if you guys see us on Facebook, like, comment, share, be one of our followers. And we will see you Monday morning with Vernon. And Vernon's last name escapes me.
McBride.
Vernon McBride, thank you. Vernon McBride will be our guest on Monday, and we look forward to hearing from him. And we'll see everybody on Monday morning, 6 a.m. on Wake Up with Toastmasters. Where still says live.